Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Crypto Journeys, a series with our special guest, Leslie Quander. Now, this is our first time trying this on Facebook Live. This is actually originally a clubhouse room where we talk to people who live crypto. We want everyone to understand how, regardless of your background, your current financial situation, crypto can be for you. And so this is why we have people from all walks of life come in and share their story so that you can see firsthand how crypto is working for them. Welcome, Leslie. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I think this is a super exciting series. So, hi. Hi, everybody.
Yes. Leslie and I connected on Clubhouse, and I'm so glad that we did because she's such a great moderator. She brings so much value to the rooms that I've joined about cryptocurrency, and I've learned so much from being in those spaces. So, Leslie, again, thanks for being here. Please tell us about yourself, whatever it is you want to share.
Thank you. And thank you for the kind words. You add value to the rooms as well. I remember when I heard your story, I was like, wait, what? I'm like, we need to hear that again. So, so I'm so glad you're there. So about me, I am a writer. I'm also an editor. And when I say editor, it's like at media, I've been a magazine editor and now I'm an editor at a website celebrating Black women. And I'm just, in the media space, I also do speaking and I do coaching related to writing and also like some stuff with mindset. And one of the things I write about actually is personal finance. So I'm a contributor to Business Insider and I've written for, various national publications. But I have to say at the top of this, I'm not representing anyone that I write for. This is just me, Leslie, talking to you, but I do this in part for a living and I love it. Like, I love this space. I love writing about saving, investing, like tricks to know, things to know. Like, I'm just all about providing information to people. So this is another reason I really appreciate this room.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, Leslie has put out some amazing content in this space, and I definitely recommend you follow her on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle?
Thank you. Everything is Leslie Quander. It's super easy. Like everything in the world, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. My website is lesliequander.com. I'm very easy to find, which could be a good thing.
Right.
Or not, depending on who's looking. So
depending on the vantage point, right?
Depending on the vantage, no, it's really good. I'm silly. It's good. I'm glad. We have such a great community. I've noticed even on Clubhouse with the crypto community, and I love reaching out to people and talking to people on social media. So yeah, please find me. I'm happy to talk to you. You'll see me. I'm like very much into emoji and happiness and good times.
That's a good place to be. So Leslie, what happened that made you pay attention to cryptocurrency?
That is a really good question. So I just blogged about this actually, because we were in a room on Clubhouse and we were talking about regrets. Like, someone asked the question, what are your regrets when it comes to crypto? And I said, well, if I were to have one, because really like regrets are pointless, right? But like if I were to have one, it would be that I didn't learn about crypto earlier. So for whatever reason, after Bitcoin was developed, I don't remember really hearing about it. And it wasn't until like a few years ago when a friend of mine was telling me about Bitcoin in particular, because of course there are many other cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is just the most popular. But I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like, I should probably check this out. And so that's kind of what made me get into it, is that he shared his own experience and he was nice enough to kind of like tell me how his portfolio was doing. And I think that was really helpful to see, like, oh my gosh, this person that I know in real life has actually made money here. And this is a real thing, because remember, like, and even as recently as like, I don't know, probably like weeks ago, people were calling Bitcoin a scam, and some people still think it is. So it was really helpful for me to see, like, wait a minute, no, he's got real money in this, and this is actually going up. So that's what made me start. And then I started researching, and then I got really excited about it. And as you know, it can all be somewhat addictive when you start researching this. So that was my story. I think I got into it just because it's someone that I knew.
Well, that's good too, because then there's a degree of trust going in. Someone that you know and trust is able to share information with you, and you can kind of bounce ideas off. And that was important to me too, to have that community of people around me. It kind of helped me to be a little more brave and take a few risks, right?
Yeah, I had some other friends who were into it as well. And I think like we would get together and talk about it. And yeah, it was just like, it was exciting. So like, while other people maybe were talking about TV, and this is no shade to TV, like I watch TV, but like we would be talking about like what, currencies we liked and what, people were saying about them on the timeline and, the latest news. And it was just this really cool, community conversation we were
Right.
able to have. And I think it was more fun that way.
Right. I agree. It makes me think of this meme, sit with winners, the conversation is different.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
the
Sit with
conversation
winners.
is
Yeah, and
different.
I also love, I love being around people who are smart in this space because I've now know enough, right? That I'm writing about it, I can speak about it, but I still learn every day.
Right.
Because I mean, if you figure if someone's been in the, in the space since 2012, 2013, 2014, which a lot of these people I know, have been in it even or earlier, right? Like
Mhm.
there's so much we can learn. And then I know you and I were talking, the space is evolving all the time. And, we're looking ahead to what regulations are going to be coming and not coming. So
Right.
I can still learn every single day. And I think that's the fun part too, because it's sort
Right.
of challenging in a way.
It is. It is. And I just find that, sometimes conversations can get redundant. When you're in a space with people that you've known for a while, you know their story, and sometimes we tend to rehash stuff from the past. And but with this, there's always something new to talk about. There's always something new to learn, and always a new
Yeah.
opportunity to do something. So I find crypto very exciting too.
Yeah. And you have a great story. So I know, do you want to share a little bit of your story? Just so we all know how impressive you are.
Oh,
I think it's only fair.
look, you're not going to be the only one on the spot, right? Well, my story, the condensed version, is just wanting to be free. I have been in the salon space and a natural hair educator for more than a decade, almost 2 decades, and wanted to do something different, but didn't know what to do. What were my options? Um, for me, either the only option I could think of was a different way to trade my hours for dollars. And that wasn't what I wanted to do. I was already tired of doing that. So just had a panic attack one day in the salon servicing a client and realized, yeah, this needs to stop right now. Went home, set my close date, November 9th, 2017. I remember it well because I was planning a trip to Ghana. So I said, when I go to Ghana, I'm coming back and I'm going to start over. And
Okay.
that's what I did. So when I came back, didn't have a plan, had a little savings, but didn't really know what I was doing. And but that was part of the fun of it too, kind of
Yeah.
living each day on the edge. And start looking at different opportunities. And one of those was linked to cryptocurrency indirectly, but that just piqued my interest. And I started understanding and really diving in and getting an understanding of it and seeing the potential and realized I can do this. I
Yeah.
can do this and not work. And the
I
rest
love
is
that.
history.
And then your story can show other people, like my friend showed me, that now you're saying to people who might be new and like I'm saying, like, wait, this is something that actually can happen. And by the way, I have to say, of course, Ansela and I are not giving, I mean, I'm speaking for me, but I'm pretty sure
Right.
you can say this,
We're not right.
not giving financial advice.
Right.
We're not telling you to invest in anything. Like another thing I will say about crypto is it's a very personal decision and we all have different journeys. And so some people might have more money that they can put into it and some less because crypto is very volatile. And, 1 minute, like as we saw, Bitcoin, I remember I wrote about it in December. It had been, it hit all time highs in December 2020. I remember, I think it was like, I'm not going to say the date in case I'm wrong, but it was like mid-December, it hit $20,000 per Bitcoin. And then, less than a month later, it's almost, double that basically. And then it drops again, right? So it's like you can't put money in that you need right away. So it's your own
Exactly.
personal journey. But still, I think it's cool to see what other people are doing and what successes or not that they've had, for sure.
Exactly. Hmm. And that's why I think this series is important so people can see that, everyone's journey is different. Everyone is not coming from a place with lots of money to operate in. And there are those who are. So it just depends on where you are, work with what you have.
And that is totally fine. Like,
Hmm.
it's really okay because I feel like, people wonder, I've had people say, like, is it too late? And I'm like, no, like, I just had a friend get in it, for the first time, like maybe a few days ago. And I know that people will get into it, after this talk. So it's whatever is right for you. If you decide to do it, it's whatever you decide is right for you.
Absolutely. So perfectly stated. Thank you, Leslie.
Well, you're helping. Like this. This is a great conversation, I
I
think.
agree. I agree. For those of us joining on Clubhouse, we are simulcasting on Facebook Live. And so thank you for joining us. So I'm not ignoring anybody, but I'm looking at two screens right now. But if I will open the floor for questions on Clubhouse, as well as if you have questions, you can type them in the chat on Facebook and we'll address everybody best we can. Okay. So, Leslie, has crypto changed your life at all? And if so, how?
That's a great question. So, okay, so I'm a writer. I love what I do. I love coaching. I love learning every day. So I would say crypto is sort of an extension of that for me. Like, me writing about personal finance and then actually doing things that I write about in my own life, I think is a natural extension. But has it changed my life? Sure. And I would say that because I know, like, in traditional investing, a lot of the time we require an intermediary. Like, if I were going to be a real estate investor, I'm not, but I would need an agent, right? Or I would work with a broker or whatever. Or, back in the day when we used to buy stocks, I mean, now we can buy them on apps, but even back in the day, like, we still sometimes would need help with that. So I think crypto provides a freedom that didn't exist for me before. And also just in relation to the stock market, I mean, even now we're constrained with, okay, wait, it's Saturday. Can't
Right.
actually make that live trade in the stock market if I really felt so inclined. But if I wake up at, 2 a.m. in crypto, it's a global market, I have the freedom to make trades in real time whenever I want. And I think that can be life changing, just to know that you can do that and you have the freedom to do that and you have the power to do that, I think is very cool. And also, I would say just, the opportunity to build wealth in a different way. Like, of course, we know, like, the crypto market can completely tank and your portfolio can be bleeding out red, like the rarest steak ever in the world, right? Or, you could look and it's like totally on the other side, and those kind of gains don't necessarily happen in other markets. So I think it's life changing in that it brings the possibility of maybe building more wealth than I could have in other markets. So yeah, and I'm glad that I got into it. I don't know what the future holds. Like tomorrow, everything could be different. But for right now, I'm really appreciating the freedom and the possibilities of it all, and just the learning. Like I said, like, it just keeps you sharp. Like every day, I'm like we were saying, every day I'm like, oh, I'm learning about this and I'm learning about that technology and I'm learning about smart contracts. And did I know what a smart contract was before I started, with crypto? Like, I don't think I did, So I'm also just adding to knowledge about the world, and about how we relate to each other and about how things might be in the future every day. So yeah.
Definitely. I think that part you mentioned about the global market is so important, as well as the ever evolving technology and opportunities, because there are so many people around the world who need financial options, not only income, but also banking
Yeah.
and things like that. And cryptocurrency makes so many more options available to that demographic that traditional banking systems don't. So for me, I think crypto, if for no other reason, just to be able to help people who are at a disadvantage simply because of where they live
Hmm.
is powerful. And that's why I really encourage people, if you have any loved ones anywhere in the world that you would love to help, crypto is such a great way to do that.
Yeah, because you're not waiting on a transfer to clear, right? Like, you're not waiting 3 days to, like, I mean, there are other options, but let's say you were to go
Mhm.
through a traditional bank, you're not waiting days for that to go through. If you need them to have something, it's just like, cool, what's your address?
Right,
Okay, great. And
exactly.
it's there. And
Mhm.
that must be, so I don't have family that I would do that with, but I would imagine that's priceless to know that you can take care of your family in that way. Have you been able to do that, or is it more you
It's
have?
friends. I have
Oh, that's
very dear
amazing.
friends in Ghana that, when I went there, I connected with and have been able to not only um, send them cryptocurrency, but also show them how to grow their cryptocurrency. So
Oh, wow.
now they have an additional stream of income, which during the pandemic really came in handy
Yeah.
because so many important sources of employment closed down because they depended on the international travel.
Right.
So yeah,
Oh, that's
that's
beautiful. I'm so
yeah, it
glad you
really
could help
is.
them.
Yeah, it really is. And that's why I really focus on reaching out to people who are looking for that kind of option because it's really simple to get started for one thing,
Yeah.
and it's a minimal investment. So
And I think it's good to talk about like the good things, right? Because, sometimes you hear in the headlines all the bad things. And so for me, I'm like, let's present both sides. I have no issue talking about the bad sides, right? Because everything has risks. Well, I shouldn't say everything, but most things have risks and benefits. Even when you talk about like medicine, right? You take medicine, okay, it's going to have some side effects, but it might help cure you. So, while people might say like, oh, crypto is used for illicit activities, well, so is cash, right? But we still use cash at the very moment. But if crypto can help people get access to money that they need in an emergency, or they don't have a bank account, to your point, and they need access to capital, or if it can help them build wealth, like that, I think is amazing. And I think that's what we're talking about also.
absolutely. And that's one of the things that I really encourage people. And through my online course, show them how to get started with the fundamentals, and then they can see how to even grow their cryptocurrency. So,
I love it. So when you
yes.
said fundamentals, my little brain got really happy because I'm all about I'm all about the fundamentals. I just realized during this interview I lost an earring, so bye earring. But I think the fundamentals are so important because if you're going to be in this market, I think it can be really intimidating because you come in and people are saying all these like words and jargon that you've like never heard before, and then then you're still having to make decisions about your money. So I think learning basic vocabulary, learning that there are market cycles, learning that dips happen and it's okay, and you don't have to like panic about it necessarily. Like all these things are helpful. So so you have a course, and I did see that, so I love that you are actively teaching people. And I know on Clubhouse when we're talking, like we're actively sharing information that we have. So
Right.
so important.
Yeah, and that's why I started doing the course, because of course before Clubhouse, I would be online, I would be looking for information when I first started wanting to learn about crypto, and a lot of the conversation was just way over my head. And sometimes you ask a question and people talk to you like you're stupid because you don't know that, like
Oh
they
man,
totally
true.
forget when they didn't know what they know, and like they were born understanding crypto, so I
Yeah.
wanted to offer something to people who just wanted a slow paced course that they could follow at their own pace and convenience and get that basic understanding. And it's just to give them a little nudge. It's not comprehensive by any stretch of the imagination, but enough to say, okay, I think I got it. And now let's go forward.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, that's why if I don't necessarily do coaching in crypto, but I think I do coaching for writing, somewhat. And I think if somebody's really wants to learn, it can, and you don't want to necessarily get lost in Google
Right.
and like, fumble around, because there's also bad information about this space, about so
Hmm.
many of them. If you want to get a jump start working with somebody, that can be somebody that you trust, that's good, that can be helpful.
Definitely.
Sure. And I mean, look, there are no stupid questions. So anybody watching, I just want to say, if you're ever in a room and you get that feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm scared to ask this, or, they were mean to me, like, please know there are no stupid questions.
Right.
Like, if you need to know something, you need to know something, and that is fine, right? Like, I'm not perfect. Human beings are not perfect. That's how we learn. We learn by asking, and then we grow. So ask, please ask. It's
Absolutely.
better than to make a mistake, like to do something that you might regret because you don't understand something.
And Clubhouse is really good for that because people are so generous with information. So
Yeah.
if you're on Clubhouse, look for Leslie because she's a great moderator and gives good information.
Oh, thank you. And I will say to this point too, because I don't want to act like we're not saying to do your own research, because you'll hear us all the time on Clubhouse, like everyone, and like so many people in the space are, we're like, do your own research, do your own research. It's so important to do your own research, because this is your money after all, and your life and your decision. But what I'm saying is, if you've done your research and you're still like, I don't really know, it's okay. Like, it's okay to ask for help.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Thank you so much, Leslie. And our last question, what
Okay.
would you say to someone who is just thinking about crypto, but they're hesitant for various reasons?
Oh, I love that question. As I think that is probably something that people feel. When I started, I was not super like, oh my gosh, this is the next best thing. I didn't really necessarily know myself. So what I would say that I did is that I just learned as much as I could. And so now when people ask me this question, I really just respond with learn as much as you can. Because I think the more that you learn about the space, the more confident you will feel in your decisions and the more confident you will feel in setting your goals once you understand how things work, once you understand the terminology, then
Yeah.
it'll start like the puzzle will start to become complete and you will feel more empowered because we talked about empowerment at the beginning. You will feel more empowered to make decisions on yourself or for yourself because those decisions will be based on actual knowledge and those decisions will be based on things that you now know and you're not questioning. So I would just say learn as much as possible and then don't put money in the market that you need. So the last thing that you want to do in this space is to be emotional in the market, and that's with investing in general. So like I said, I write about personal finance, and no matter what you're investing in, like emotional decisions can be very, very harmful. So I would say, whatever you decide to only put in what you're willing to lose, and to maybe, decide what level of risk you're comfortable with. And I know that everyone's risk level is different. So I'm not going to say like what might be good for you because I don't know you, but just decide on your level of risk, learn as much as you can, and then be kind to yourself. Because look, we're not perfect, like things are going to happen that we don't like. We may make mistakes. And, as long as you're not losing anything that you really, really need, like I said, this is where not putting in money that you need comes in. Just be kind to yourself and learn and realize that this isn't necessarily all going to click at one time. But just, if you want to try it, try it.
Great words of advice. Yes, do not use your mortgage payments in cryptocurrency.
Please do not do it. Do not do it. It will feel horrible.
Yes.
It
And
could not feel good to you, for sure.
and just my personal experience, I haven't really lost much to be honest, but the little losses are well worth the experience to experience the major gains. That's just been my experience.
Yeah. And also, and this is something I'm sure that I mean, obviously, it's like you don't lose until you cash out, right? So like when I see people flipping out like, oh my gosh, my portfolio's down. Like my portfolio has been down before. I mean, hello, March, like when everything crashed. And it's like, you don't lose money in investing until you cash out your account. So, if you wait a little bit, and not financial advice, because not at all, I'm trying to be careful here, but just understand that. And that it's possible that it could come back up. It could just be a dip. So again, that goes back to learning and your goals and what you're willing to deal with and what your risk tolerance is. But yeah, no, mortgage payment, childcare money, food money, like don't put that in this market at all.
At all.
Is what I would say.
Absolutely not. That was awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Leslie, for sharing. Now, what I'd like to do is I'm going to start recording because if we have anyone ask questions,